Alrighty, round 3, one and done. We're back for the weekender.
We are back. We're live again. It's great. 3 weeks in, mate. Footy's great. It's in a strong place. A few big things. Although you had a big weekend and you missed a fair bit of the footy. So, do you want to let everyone know what you were getting up to over the last couple of days?
Yeah, so I did catch the Friday night game, which to be honest, I wish I missed that one at Richmond Collingwood. So I went there, and then bright and early Saturday morning, I woke up and I flew out to Brisbane. I got the early bird, the red eye flight out to Brisbane for a mate's Bucks party. So I was there all Saturday, most of Sunday, and as a lot of you would know, in Queensland, there's not too much hype around the footy. So I didn't get to see a lot of it. Most of the pubs we went to all had the NRL on, which was disappointing. I did catch the showdown at one pub called the Osborne up there. But other than that, I missed a whole chunk of footy. So I'm really just catching up with, the news articles and SEN, listening to the radio today and all that sort of stuff. So I've missed a lot. I'm coming in blind a little bit this week, unfortunately.
Yeah, mate. Well, we're talking off air before about some of the big topics, and you haven't even heard about the biggest one, really. So, but which we will get into a bit later on. But yeah, it was a great round of footy in that game on Friday night. It was an interesting one, wasn't it? I think the Pies looked like they were on top, but you guys were just in there constantly. You were constantly at them. So it was not a bad game to finish off in the end.
In the end, it probably wasn't, but I did think we were lucky that the Pies didn't bury us real early on. I reckon in the first quarter, they had their chance to just put the foot on the throat early and keep us away. But yeah, no, they missed a lot of shots and they kept us in the game a little bit, but it was very underwhelming with how low scoring the game was too.
Yeah, exactly. So it was, it was an interesting one, but yeah, I think it highlights how strong Collingwood are as well. I think they're still premiership favourites. So it's it's crazy to see. But credit to them, they're probably the standout at the moment, along with Melbourne. So I think, which we'll touch on a bit later as well, with the D's, they're back to some pretty ominous form after a strange week the week before.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure if you look at the odds at the moment, Collingwood and Melbourne are now equal premiership favourites. So yeah, it just goes to show how well they're playing at the moment.
Yeah. Well, speaking of teams that are going well at the moment, we do have a Saints fan waiting in the wings. I'm not sure how good he's going to sound considering he's in some remote areas, but let's get him into the stream.
I'm on.
Richo, here he is.
I've had to actually walk about 40 metres away from the van because the connection wasn't great. So I'm standing in the middle of a park by the beach. I'm
Love it, mate.
Like north of Perth.
Yeah, you were at the Derby yesterday, weren't you?
Yeah, I was at the Freo West Coast Derby.
Derby.
Optus Stadium.
Derby, man.
Get yourselves to Optus Stadium.
Yeah. Is it as good as what everyone says?
I mean, it is just a footy stadium at the end of the day, but great lighting. But it was good. I think it was probably best to be there for a derby. That's for sure. Is it coming
absolutely.
Through?
Very windy. No, we've got you. It's very
There you
windy
go.
out there in sunny Perth, but
Live TV, how good is it?
that's a lot better. Yeah, no. Keep doing whatever you're doing.
I've got you. I've got the phone up against the tree.
Perfect.
You're really roughing it, aren't you?
Well, before we potentially lose you, let's talk about the Saints and let's talk about Mason Wood, the Brownlow favourite at the moment. Give us your thoughts on it all.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know he was that good until Saturday night, to be honest. I thought we'd just picked up a few of North Melbourne's rejects and we're making the best we could. But, I mean, he's a star.
Yeah,
Can we all agree on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was at the game on Saturday night and he was unreal. He's honestly playing. It's like where does it come from? He's been in the system for so long and all of a sudden he's turned into...
He's 30 years old and he's... It doesn't make sense to me. He's 30 years old. He's never played this good in his life.
No, it's crazy. I think Ross Lyon has completely changed his career, which is great.
Well, they say that they do say he gets the best out of players, so maybe that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. He looked great. He's the perfect wingman, and he takes big grabs as well, and he doesn't miss a target. He's actually really, really nice to watch. He's a great player. So let's hope he can keep it up because and the Saints as well, mate. They're bloody flying.
They're going pretty well, and we've got 15 players to come back.
Yeah, you do.
I don't want to get too ahead of myself. That's the way I'm trying to keep it because I was just thinking back, like I don't know what year it was. Remember North won like 9 in a row.
Yeah.
And then they finished like 10.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens to a lot of teams. They start off absolutely flying and then just derail midway through the year. So definitely, good idea not to get too overhyped. But mate, some of your young kids like the Pooh and what's the other bloke's name is killing it at the moment down there as well.
Machito.
Yeah, that's it. You got some star like young kids coming through the ranks. What are you thinking about them at the moment?
So that's one thing we haven't had the last 10 years. We always rely on like the same 4 or 5 older guys. So that's probably why there's so much excitement, and it looks like the team makes so much more like second efforts. It's like they're all like fighting for a spot. I don't know. It's just like now at the moment, you're not even, I don't know, it's too early to call it, but like when a player gets injured, just like, oh, well, someone else is just going to step up and play the exact same pressure style, and it's great to watch.
Jack Higgins as well had arguably, I think that was probably the best game I've seen him play on Saturday night as well.
He's had a few games over the last few years where he's kicked 4 or 5, but this year, the first 2 games of the year, he honestly didn't really go near it, and then he's come out and kicked 4 in a game. Same with Butler. Both of them haven't touched in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's a little fire starter, and they just kick bags.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great, and they're all the, especially Butler the other year when you guys played finals. Butler was on fire that year, so you need him to start putting some good games together. So
he was our leading goal. He was our leading goal kicker that year, believe it or not.
Yeah,
that was the year he probably should have been all Australian, but they gave it to a midfielder again, the forward pocket spot.
He got snubbed.
Yeah, if they had to place people in the right positions, he would have been all Australian that year for sure.
It's Mason Wood's turn this year, I think.
For Brownlow, all Australian, or all the above?
Well, you name it. He's 5th in the coaches award at the
minute. He's polling well early.
Maybe a Norm Smith medal at the end of the year.
Well, the grand final's a lock, so
big calls early.
Although I think I came on this. Sorry, go.
Go. There you go.
I was going to say, I think I came on this podcast when the Saints were about 8-3 last year, and I think we should have met after that anyway.
Well, we normally get you on when the Saints are doing pretty poorly and you have a bit of a vent. So it's different to have you on now when you're 3-0, top of the world, absolutely flying at the moment, and just had your 150th year anniversary special. How was that? What do you think of the spectacle around that?
Well, I mean, I watched it from the tally, but I missed a lot of the pre-game. So I rewatched a little clip. It looked all right. It looked like a bit of an emotional scenario. They got some good weather for it. They had Tony Lockett down for the night, so
I saw that. Yeah. I wish I had a photo of Plugger to put up on the screen, but he doesn't really show much emotion, does he, Plug? He was just stone-faced the whole time.
Not interested. You're lucky to get him anywhere, I think. Who was saying? Someone said they'd been down at the club. Might have been Dougal Howard they were interviewing. Obviously, he's been at the club now for 4 or 5 years. He's like, I think that's the second time he's ever seen
him.
Yeah, right.
He's a bit of a recluse.
He absolutely is. But, mate, how's he looking as well? I feel like he was 3 times the size he is now when he was playing. Like, it's not often you see players go the other way from being massive and all of a sudden go into a twig. It's usually the other way around where you're skinny fit and you get fat after footy, but he's gone the other way around.
Yeah, he's on a solid diet. I don't know what he's doing.
I reckon it's the man shake.
Very good.
The man shake, but it was sponsors, feel free.
It was good to see all those faces around, and maybe they got G'd up for it. Normally, we would absolutely pack it in it. When Jai Caldwell kicked those 2 snags from the boundary, it looked like Bombers were just going to run us over. So I think it was uncharacteristic of Saints of the last 2 years to come back and like actually win that game.
Yep.
So that's probably the most promising sign, is that we actually like fought it out instead of just rolling over.
Yeah, that was and and to win it by what? Well, I mean, you only won by, was it 20 points in the end, but you got out to about a 30-point lead. So
Yeah.
it
And
was
then there was a
quite
couple of
impressive.
time goals.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it was the biggest, I think it was the biggest home and away crowd the Saints have had at the MCG. So good on them. It was a big night.
We don't get 70,000. I always have to tag along to the Carlton or the Collingwood or the Richmond games to go and get a crowd like that.
Yeah.
So I'm spewing that I missed it.
Yeah, it was good. The atmosphere, the Saints fans were electric. I tell you what, that was a loud crowd. I was impressed. It felt like I was at one of those bigger games. The Saints fans were really loud, and it was good to see the Saints have a home game with MCG. I think it was. I can't even remember the last time that's happened.
I don't know, but sometimes we've had a replacement game at the MCG, but that's not normally our home game. It's normally like a Pies home game or somebody else's home game, and we get access as the members. But yeah, it's rare that we actually host the game.
Yeah.
No, need more of it. You got to play good footy at the MCG, otherwise you're no good in finals.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
True.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, it is the theme of the Saints at the moment. 150th year celebration. Give us your top 3 Saints players of all time.
On the spot. All right, number 1. I'll start at number 3. I think you have to go Rewalt number 1, just for obvious reasons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 2, I think I'm probably going to be biased to players that I was witnessed to and watched their whole career. So Lenny Hayes is going to have to be number 2. And I would throw Robert Harvey in there, but again, he peaked when I was 6, 7. So he's probably would be top 3. But if I'm going on players I've watched, then the G Train has to be number 3.
Oof.
The G Train.
Yeah.
And
good,
with like,
3.
and you know, obviously honourable mentions to Stephen Milne, Nick D'Arcano, Sam Fisher, Matt Maguire, Robert Eddy, Andrew McQualter.
Yep. Rob Eddy, good friend of the show.
Craig Callahan. Oh, no. We'll get into some very obscure players here.
I'll just start reeling off names for the next 45 minutes.
Richo's the king of obscure names as well. Obscure AFL players. He's great at it. So maybe we'll get you on for another segment down the track for that.
Well, I still want to see
the list
I want to still see your top 5 players with gloves.
Yes.
I put that to Marcus in a chat. I don't know. I think I was watching highlights of Jared Brennan from 2003 or 2004, and I just thought, this guy's obscure, and I want to see more lists that include guys like this. So if you can get a list of guys with just wearing gloves, I'd love to see it.
Maybe we'll do that next week.
We say two off the top of my head. You got Travis Cloke, gloved Richo at one point. He was gloved for a little while there.
Matt Richardson's way up there.
Yeah. Well, for me, he's always going to be number 1. So maybe I should keep out of this one's bias.
The list is going to be biased, but that's all right. I think Dean Polo wore a glove for a little bit there as well.
Like the best debutant of all time, Dean Polo.
What did he have? 28 and 3 goals.
Yeah, it was actually unbelievable. I thought he was going to be the best player the AFL had ever seen after that.
You got
how that changed. I knew his career was gone when he went to St Kilda.
And he had bleached spots in his hair. I think year 1 at the same.
That's right. I forgot about that. That's very niche. Very niche.
If you want niche, I've got heaps of it.
The king of niche. I love it. Well, next week we do our top 5 glove players and get a list together.
Yeah, I'm keen to see it.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Richo. It's been great, all the way from WA too, and we'll definitely chat soon. And hopefully next time we're chatting, the Saints are still on top of the ladder.
Yeah, that'll be lovely. Thanks, boys.
All right.
Mate,
no worries. See you, Rich.
Bye.
Rich. Well, that was something different, wasn't it? We normally get him on when the Saints are doing pretty shit, but it was nice little change. He seemed pretty happy to be here.
Yeah, he was great. No, he was up and about. It's good. It's good. It's just a shame that he's missing out on it all, being in the other side of the country. But nah, good on the Saints. And Man, that's a supporter base that's been starved of success for far too long. We don't really need to go into their history, but they definitely deserve something for what they've been throughout that 150 years. So hopefully they can continue it on.
Absolutely. Well, there were some other big games over the weekend, Marcus. You follow them a lot more closely than me, but none seem to be bigger than the showdown up in Adelaide.
That was almost a statement game from Adelaide, and I mean, I think they were a little bit disappointing the first two rounds, but they did show glimpses in those first two games that they were capable of this sort of performance. I mean, they showed it against you guys around two, where they had a really strong third quarter and a good first half of the last quarter, but they put it all together in this game against Port, and to do it in a showdown is super impressive. And the players that dominated for him as well, Isaac Rankin kicking 4 goals, and his third was out of this world. And then Riley Thilthorpe was huge, kicking 5. So good on him. It's great to see. It's almost, Port have probably beaten them up for too long now, and it looks like the baton could be changing in Adelaide there. But it says a little bit about Port Adelaide too. After such a strong win in round 1, they've copped some heavy defeats the last 2 weeks. So a lot to come out of the showdown, but it was a good game. It was a really, really good game, but Adelaide just kicked away towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely they did. Well, that was a question I wanted to ask you too about Port Adelaide, because the competition at the moment, it's so hard to get a read on who's good, who's not good. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but I mean, the Cats are 0-3 right now, and they're the reigning premiers. You wouldn't have thought that. And then Port Adelaide, like you said, massive win in round 1. We're thinking, geez, these guys they're back this year. Last year was an outlier. 2 weeks in a row now, they've been done pretty comfortably. It makes you wonder where to from here. Ken Hinkley back under pressure again, just when we thought he might have been out of pressure. I think he got re-signed, didn't he? Or this is last year the contract potentially?
Last year, yeah. So huge
yeah.
pressure.
So a lot of question marks around him and the club at the moment. But where to for Port? Like, do they have to make finals? Is it finals or bust now for Port Adelaide?
Oh, it has to be. Absolutely. If they don't make finals this year, I think Ken's definitely gone. If they do nothing in the finals, I think he's probably still gone as well. So it's a huge year. We all know that they've got the talent, and they've just got to start finding that form that they showed in round 1. But then at the same time, it's like, well, do we read too much into Brisbane as well? Because they look pretty average on the weekend too. So again, we spoke about this round 1, these early judgments. That's why it's a very dangerous game to judge too early. So we'll just give it a few more weeks until we get a bigger sample size of everything. But the last 2 weeks have suggested, Port maybe not as good as we all thought after round 1.
Yeah, and like you said, I think there's a few teams that are probably sitting in that category right now too, where you can't get a proper read on them because it's early. But if you had to, you're probably thinking they're not quite where we expected them to be, and that's what's going to make the race to the top 8 so hard. I mean, there's teams like Fremantle who last year you probably say, they'll make the 8 again next year, and now they're looking. I mean, they had a win on the weekend, but they're not looking too flash. So, it's going to be hard to pick. But one team that definitely will definitely play finals by all reports is Melbourne after an emphatic win against the Swans on the weekend. How good was that?
Yeah, I mean, that was talk about statement games. That was a big statement from the D's after a disappointing game in round 2. They really just flexed their muscles and showed how good they are, especially at the MCG as well. Stephen May was back, and then they've blooded Jacob Van Ruin for the first time, and after so much hype playing in the VFL, he's come out and played a really good debut game. So they got everything working for him. Maybe round 2 was just a bit of a game you just forget, and a bit of a anomaly for him, but. Yeah, they look just as good as they looked in round 1 and through the preseason. So I think they're, with Collingwood, the two premiership favourites.
Oh, for sure. I mean, judging by everybody else's form, there's nobody you could replace those two sides with at this stage. It's so early on, like we said, but they're definitely the two premiership favourites at the moment. And we say that their performance last week wasn't great, which it definitely wasn't, especially up to their standards. But you look at the last 10 minutes once the lights came back on, and they showed their glimpses of old Melbourne where they just came back and scored a whole bunch of goals in quick succession. So it shows that even though most of the game they weren't great, they only need a small window where they can turn it on and potentially clinch the game back. It was honestly, Brisbane were lucky to hold on in that last game last week. So it really didn't surprise me to see Melbourne come out this week and pump Sydney.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, that was massive. But I think one of the biggest surprises so far this year has been the Geelong Footy Club, and they're 0-3. And geez, you would have paid big money to see that, or you would have received a lot of money if you picked that a few weeks ago. And what's going on at the Cats? Are they? I mean, I think this was people probably did predict that they could be falling off a cliff once they won that flag. I think it might be happening.
Well, they almost look content, don't they? It's certain players does not look like they're trying as hard. One of the only ones I can say that's definitely doing that is Jeremy Cameron, and he's the only one really that I've seen is putting his hand up every week and going, "No, we want to win games of footy." But the rest, a lot of the team seems like they're definitely suffering that premiership hangover. And the first 2 weeks, I mean, they lost to Collingwood round 1. Okay, they lost to a good side. Carlton round 2, all right, they lost to a good up and coming side as well. Round 3, you think, all right, they're going to fly to Gold Coast. This is when they'll get their momentum back. They'll get a win here and they'll get them trot. But when I saw the scores, I couldn't believe the Cats had just lost to Gold Coast. I don't know. Has the Gold Coast ever beaten Geelong?
I think they might have. I think they did early days, actually, like one of those surprise wins.
Okay,
but not for a while.
Because this must be the first time in a long time that they've beaten the Cats, if ever. So it was definitely a surprise. And then Patrick Dangerfield's leadership is coming into question now. People are questioning whether he's the right fit. And I think, again, it's probably too early of a judgment call to say that Dangerfield isn't right for the role. It's 3 rounds in. He's got some injured players on the list that you could really use back. And it's still early days. We saw what Geelong did last year. They weren't setting the world on fire first half of last year. They came in the back half of the year and won 19 games in a row or something crazy like that. So there's still time for the Cats for sure, but 0-3 isn't a position you want to be in to start the season.
No way. And I think I think they're probably getting off a little bit light, just considering, their track record in previous seasons where they've started a little bit slower and obviously clawed their way back and go deep in September. But it just it feels and looks a bit different this year. I think that they're just a little bit off, and maybe there's players there that just, their motivation's not as strong as it used to be when they've been chasing that elusive flag. Players like Dangerfield, especially, like if they're 1 or 2% off, it's going to show, and it looks like it is at the moment. So they've got the Easter Monday clash this week against the Hawks, and if they drop that, then I think it's probably. I don't think we can say that they can turn it around from there. Let's be honest.
Yeah, if you're losing to Hawthorn, especially where they're expected to be, and I know they had a win on the weekend, but again, it was against North Melbourne, who, despite the fact we're having a good first couple of weeks north, they're not going to, light the world on fire either. So good on Hawks for getting a win, but if they knock off Geelong this week, it'll be the headlines will have to be all about Geelong and falling off that cliff. Which, let's be honest, if you're not a Geelong supporter, we've been waiting for this to happen since the 2011 grand final. Like, it just. All that success that they had, and they were always up there making prelims or semis and finals after final. I think they had 1 year since 2011 where they didn't play finals, which is absolutely unbelievable. I'm pretty sure Joel Selwood had one. What was the stat? I think we brought it up last year in the podcast, but I think Joel Selwood had only one time in his career he played a home and away game where he knew for a fact that he wouldn't be playing finals. And it was like the last game of the round. They're like, however many years ago. So it just shows how successful they've been. So if they do fall off the cliff, it's almost been like it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. And again, you mentioned Joel Selwood. He's probably got a lot to do with this. I think they're really missing his leadership and his quality on the ground as well. I don't think we can underestimate the loss of him. So, it's going to be interesting. I'm super intrigued by the game this weekend, especially after Hawthorn's win. And I'm with Hawthorn, I'm bloody happy that they got a win, because a lot of people were saying they were going to go winless. So good to see them get a win early as well in round 3, get that monkey off the back, and then they go in with confidence against Geelong this weekend. So it's very intriguing. Who would have thought we'd be saying that at the start of the year?
I don't reckon anybody would be saying those sorts of things. But I want to quickly touch back on Joel Selwood, because I agree with you. I reckon they do look a little bit lost without that leadership that they've been used to for so long. And I'm probably going to get shot for saying this, but I've had the controversial opinion for a while that Selwood as a captain is overrated. Now looking at Geelong and the way they are, I'm starting to think that maybe he wasn't as like, oh, I mean, and again, probably not a popular opinion, but I was always under the impression it was superstar player. Absolutely. Like, would he have been a good captain? Yes, he would call it like that. There's no doubt he would have been a good captain, but I just thought he never really had to bring the club through any hard times. Like, he came in and they were successful. The whole time he was there, they were successful. And maybe that's a testament to him to keep them at that level as well. But if you look at someone like if Carlton would have won the flag this year, you'd be looking at Paddy Cripps going, he was there and built them from the ground up type thing, whereas Selwood was there when they were at the top. And that's no fault of his own. He can't help it if he, was traded or drafted into a good club and played in a good club his whole career. But I just thought he never had to bring his team through any hardship like some captains have. But looking at Geelong now and the way that they look a little bit lost out there and missing that sort of strong leadership, it makes me start to believe that maybe it is Joel Selwood's absence that's really hurting them.
Yeah, I think it's definitely got a lot to do with it. So it's going to be interesting to see how these next few weeks pan out for him. Because if they don't get some wins on the board early, then it's going to be tough for them to really challenge this year, I think. Even if they do sneak into the finals, I think it's still going to be hard for them to challenge because the top teams, as we've seen so far, are looking pretty unstoppable. So they're going to have to get their skates on pretty soon, I think, the Cats.
Yeah, for sure. If they're 0-4, I think the stat for making finals after starting 0-4 are pretty slim. And we saw what happened to Port Adelaide last year when they were 0-5, and they had a good run late in the year where they started showing signs of good football, but it was too little too late. So hopefully for Cats fans, that's not the case. But it's going to be an interesting watch regardless.
Yeah, for sure. All right, mate. Did you want to run through what you were wanting to introduce tonight, or?
I will. No, I will. It's going to be a little bit off topic tonight because I missed a lot of football, as I said earlier. So I'm a little bit behind the eight ball there with some football from this year. So I'll get into the news. We've got a new segment is what we're going to get into, and it's called The Slap.
Oh, wow.
All right. So The Slap, the concept behind this is I'm going to pick one topic or one incident that's happened throughout the week of football and choose one person that whatever they've done, they deserve to be just slapped square in the face. So I'll start this week with the F1. We had the GP on the weekend, the MotoGP, or the Grand Prix, over the weekend, which we'd all know about. Everyone's all over it at the moment. And a big thing that was in the news was how expensive merchandise was. I think it was $100 for a cap, which, let's be honest, they're probably getting made in a sweatshop somewhere. It costs them $5 to make, and they're charging $100 for a cap, which, considering the ticket price to get into the Grand Prix is already expensive enough, it's absolutely ridiculous. And whoever decided the prices of the merch, whoever ticked off on it and thought, you know what, we're going to absolutely rot people $100 for a cap and whatever other prices were, deserves to be slapped square in the face. So there's my slap for the first week of this segment, but each week would be more directed at football from now on.
Don't mind it. I agree. The tickets for the Grand Prix were out of this world. I don't know. Yeah, that's the first I've heard about the merch and stuff like that. So it is pretty ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, if I had a photo, I'd show you the list, but I saw it over the weekend. It was a list of all the different prices for like jackets, polos, all the rest of it, and caps were $90 to $100. And so, how do you justify that for just a cap? And that's the only price I can remember off the top of my head. But the others are all ridiculous as well. And I just thought, like, you're not making enough money off ticket sales, drinks, food, all the rest of it. And, just the pure attendance. Like, how many people over 4 days do they get? It's a ridiculous number. And then you're going to rip people off like that as well. So, yeah, whoever ticked those sorts of prices off deserves a slap to the face.
Yep. So I'm tipping when you go to the Grand Prix in the future, you definitely won't be buying a hat.
No, certainly not. No, I'll be going to a $2 shop and buying a knockoff one, definitely.
Well, speaking of merch and let's say well-priced merch and very good for value merch is the Pressure Point merch. And we have just released our winter range. So we'll get some photos up now. I think there's one. So head to our website. We've got some crew neck sweaters as well as some hoodies. So some very nice Very nice designs there, if I don't say so myself, Quinn. What do you reckon?
I reckon they're very spick. They're nice. They're simple. They're low key. They show just enough. And let me tell you, in these cooler months that are setting in after the last few days, I've had a few cold mornings. I'm looking forward to getting my Pressure Point hoodie rock up in the mail because it's going to be good, especially with football season. Going to the footy, wear it under a jacket, put your footy jumper over the top of it, and head into the G with some Pressure Point merch on.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, head to our website for that. We'll put the website in the comments for you guys to jump on, purchase it, and then let us know when you get it, and make sure you take some photos and share it on social media. We'd love to see how it all looks. So, so hopefully you enjoy that, and thank you to everyone that jumped on our initial launch with the merch too. It's certainly helped us build the show, and it definitely helped us go to another level this year. So thank you all, and time to warm up and get some winter stuff.
Absolutely, but don't forget the summer stuff. If you want t-shirts and stuff, they're still available too. And
they're still there. They're still there. Absolutely.
Yeah, so for sure, but they're selling like hotcakes. So get in soon before they do go. I will say that. I'd hate for you to miss out.
Love it, Quinn. All right, what else? What else caught your eye from the weekend, or do you reckon we've pretty much covered most of it? I think.
I think we went over pretty much all of it. I have been the last 2 days. I have been entranced by the WrestleMania that's been over the last couple of days from WWE. So not football related, but it's over 2 days now, WrestleMania. So you can probably see on my tally there in the background. I was still watching it just before we went live. So no spoilers, please, in the comments. But it's been that's been an interesting watch, and it's good to go back and feel like a kid again. It's been good.
Love it. That's great, mate. So you haven't been watching the replays of the footy to get your knowledge up to speed for tonight's show, or you just checking out beforehand?
Yeah, I'll just jump on and see how we go, roll with the motions, but read some articles throughout the day, listen to SEN. I get enough from the fans on SEN. I get enough background knowledge on what's happened and all the rest of it. So, but I did catch the Blues Giants game. I did catch that.
Not much do I catch there.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a weird one, wasn't it? I mean, you guys looked like the better side the whole night, but didn't at the same time. It was weird. I don't know how to get a read on it. I know a lot of Carlton supporters aren't too happy with Harry Mackay from the weekend. What were your thoughts on him? It's not everyone deserves. Everyone's entitled to a night off, but I thought the critics, especially on SEN this morning, were a bit harsh.
It wasn't great, but I think our entries inside forward 50 were horrendous. We gave our forwards no chance really, and he was playing on Sam Taylor, who's one of the best defenders in the competition, so he held him very well. So that was, and it was always going to be a tough night. I think the conditions weren't great either, and just the ball use from our midfielders going forward just wasn't great. Even Charlie really didn't get too much of a sniff of it, but he took his moments when he got them. It just wasn't a great day for the bigs up there. We just didn't deliver it.
Well, I heard one Carlton supporter even suggested they play Harry Mackay play Harry Mackay as a backman, which I thought was very outrageous.
My God, don't listen to SEN too much. I love SEN, but some of the people that call up, seriously.
That's why I listen though, for the people that call up. I love it. I know you don't take much to heart from what you hear, because some of the people that ring up, I feel like to ring up or text in to a radio station or something like that, you've got to be next level enough. And I've rung and text multiple times, so I fall into that category as well. But you can't, but I think a lot of the time it's just quality entertainment. So I love that. Yeah,
that's one of the most outrageous calls I've heard. But not a game to remember. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not. It's that's right. Onwards and upwards. You won now. You're 2 wins, 1 draw, and my Tigers are 1-1-1, which I don't think I've ever seen that before to start the season. So I actually wouldn't mind doing a fact check or history check and see how many teams have ever started the year 1-1-1.
1-1-1. Yeah.
Can't imagine it'd be too many. It'd be.
I reckon it was probably Richmond. I feel like you guys always play in the draws.
Well, Jack Rewald, I think, holds the record now for the most draws ever played in. So, I've seen a few in my time, and it's a very flat feeling. But anyway, it'll probably, I don't know, if we don't play some good football in the next few weeks, that those 4 points we missed out on might come back to bite us.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Well, it's a big weekend of footy coming up. It is the Easter weekend. There's, what is it, 4 or 5 days of footy? No, probably more. No, it's 5. That's not, no, 4 days. Jeez, I've lost the plot here.
Mate, you're getting carried away, aren't you? You get
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's 5 days.
5 days. Good maths. Quick math. But yes, it is, and it's going to be exciting. Are you going down to the Good Friday game? You guys have jumped in for the first time.
Yeah, no, I'll be there. It's going to be a great occasion. Obviously, a marquee game throughout the season, so it'll be good. And it's for a good cause as well. So I'll definitely be there. I think it's all. I think the tickets are selling very, very fast for that game, so it could be pretty close to a sellout. So yeah, it'd be a good game. And now that North are looking good, it should be a good contest.
Absolutely should be.
What are you laughing at?
I just saw the waiting room. And it's fantastic.
We're just about to wrap up.
Are we letting him in?
Oh, bring him in.
Bring him in. Where is this?
G'day, dudes.
Here he is. The man, the myth, the legend, the Chens.
Number one supporter.
Number one supporter.
What did you think of the Blues game? What did you think of the Blues game, Vince?
Average. Very average. But we got the win. That was the main thing.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters, mate. Small steps. We're not there yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting
I think this week against North under the roof at Marvel, I think that's where we played our best footy last year. So expecting a much better performance this week.
Look, Harry should kick a bag. He hasn't done much for a while. He's done a lot of work around the grounds, but Charlie's obviously taken his spotlight. But I think it'll be Harry's week this week.
Yeah,
I hope.
Was he going to play on his brother this week? Is it finally going to happen?
I think that's what they're saying.
I think so. Yeah, that's what they're saying. But I think one is saying that I can't remember if it was Ben or the other one, but I think one of them was saying that they were sort of worried about playing on each other, because they know their tricks. So.
No, they would have grown up playing a lot of footy against each other or with each other.
Yeah,
no
I think it'd be a great contest. I think it'd be really interesting to see. I think Ben would actually do a pretty good job on Harry.
I think he will, because, like I said, he knows his tricks, and he will know how to stop him, how to try to stop him. But Harry is going to have to come up with. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Harry's going to have to come up with some new tricks. I think something that his brother doesn't know. So we'll see.
Yeah,
but it should be a good game.
No, it will be absolutely. You guys have got the marquee spot, so that'll be something different.
Oh,
something different, you reckon, Quinn?
Well, number one thing is they're playing for the Royal Children's Hospital. Don't forget. So everyone out there, give some money, donate, whatever you can.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's very important. Yep. Very important.
So it's more than footy this Friday, that's for sure.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah. All right,
guys. I'm going to get back to training. I'll see you later.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for accepting me.
Very good. Just before, what a way to finish the show. Fantastic.
It was unexpected. It took me by surprise, but it was glad to have him on. It was good. So a big fan of the show, Mr. Vincenzo. Right. So it was good to have him on. But yes, we will wrap it up. We're pretty much all done there. Once I started talking about WrestleMania, I think we probably hit the finish line. So we'll wrap it up. It's been a good week of footy. Another big week coming up, like you said, Marcus. 5 days of football in a row, which is what more could you want from a football fan point of view? It brings me back to the marathon of footy days or the footy festival that we had back in COVID. So it'll be good. Except we can actually go to these games, which will be exciting. So I'm looking forward to getting down this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, it's been good, and hopefully next week you can watch some more footy and not miss out on all the games and go and gallivant up in Queensland.
Well, I will be in the beautiful state of Victoria this weekend and for the very foreseeable future. So I'll be watching pretty much every game this weekend. So I'm looking forward to it.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thanks everyone for your comments and for Richo and the chance for jumping on tonight. It's been great, and we'll hopefully chat to you more next week as well.
Absolutely. Enjoy your week footy.